welcome to digital class. Today as part of social studies class 10, we will be dealing with unit 14. Before I declare the topic, let us see some images and find out whether you can identify some great people whom we should know in our day to day life. In the first slide, you can see Mahatma Gandhi leading a march, Mahatma Gandhi with Sardar Vallabhbhai and Jawaharlal Nehru, Sarojini Naidu with Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Mountbatten, the last Governor General of India, with Muhammad Ali Jinnah on one side and Jawaharlal Nehru on other side. Mahatma Gandhi with Subhash Chandra Bose, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and we are protesting regarding Simon Commission, and a protest shown Simon go back. Students, with these images you might have come to know that we are dealing with Indian national movement partition and from 1939 to 1947. So, today we are learning how we fought for our freedom and what happened in the last phase of our Indian national movement. Before we begin the lesson, I want to give you a brief description about how Indian movement started, how we resisted the Britishers and what all phases we have. In this first part, we will be dealing about the last phase of the Indian national movement. It was from the beginning of 16th century, many Europeans have established their trading centers in India. It was the British who brought India under their political domination. From the very early stages, Indians have resisted the Britishers, but was in the year 1857, the common people with the help of the Sepoys and the native rulers of some princely states resisted Britishers with great might. It was in the year 1857, along with the native rulers, Sepoys and common people have resisted the Britishers. The 1857 revolt is often characterized as the Great Revolt, the first war of Indian independence or Sepoy mutiny. Students, let us learn that the Indian national movement or freedom movement in detail. In this lesson, you will be learning about the conditions that prevailed in India before 1947, and you also learn about the Indian national movement, that is freedom movement, and you also learn about the methods adopted by British to rule India, especially the divide and rule policy between Hindus and Muslims, and you also learn about the conditions that were responsible for the partition. In this lesson, you will be learning about the following topics. In this lesson, you will be learning, should the war be supported by Indians in the year 1939 to 1942? Who represents the people of the country? The Muslim League, the Hindu Mahasabha and RSS, Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, the Pakistan resolution. For your information, just have a look on the screen. This is British India. The brown indicates the place that was ruled by the Britishers. When we learn about the history of India, before 1947, we often characterize the history of India as British India, and after 47, we will say that or characterize it as independent India. The long history of Indian national movement is divided into three phases. The first phase of Indian national movement was dominated by moderates, and the prominent leaders among this period was Umesh Chandra Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Gokhale, etc. These were educated Indians who supported the British rule, and their request was prayer, petition and Second phase was dominated by Lal-Bal-Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra, Bal Gangadhar, Tilak, who were rebellious and did not want Britishers to rule for a very long time. I repeat, the third phase of the Indian national movement was dominated by Mahatma Gandhi, and under his rule the whole Indian masses have resisted and followed Gandhian path. Hence, the last phase of Indian national movement is often referred as Gandhian phase. In this lesson, we will be learning about the last phase of Indian national movement, and this was a crucial time for the Britishers because this was the time Britain was about to enter into the World War II, fighting its greatest enemy, Germany. When Britishers were fighting with Germans, it was India which had a great chance to revolt against the Britishers. We want to get freedom, we do not want to face any slavery, and this is the right time to take revenge against the Britishers. So, there was a question with the Congress leaders because that was the only party which was existing before 1947. It was in the year 1885 INC, Indian National Congress, was formed, and after the formation of the Indian National Congress, the freedom movement or national movement took non-violent form. So, when we were fighting with the Britishers, there was a situation whether to participate in the war helping the Britishers, or we have to take the help of Japan and fight the Britishers. So, there was a division among the Congress party leaders. Okay, let us see in detail. The colonial British government in India had passed many acts for the governance of India. Since we did not have any constitution, the Britishers have introduced some prominent acts. These acts were passed to regulate their administration and to protect their interests. Notable among these acts are Indian Councils Act 1909, which is also known as Minto-Morley Reforms Act, Government of India Act 1919, which is also known as Montego-Chelmsford Act, the Government of India Act 1935. This is very prominent and important act, and this has paved way, and most of the provisions in this act are copied or incorporated into Indian Constitution. And the last is Indian Independence Act 1947. Presenter. I told you students, this is the year 1939. The first World War, though we participated and supported Britishers, this is the very important year. This is the time the World War was about to begin. There was instances where Germany can start the war at any time, but the Congress people were divided on the issue whether to support the Britishers by providing manpower like our soldiers, or should we be silent. In the First World War, we thought that Britishers are going to be grateful and for our loyalty, but they were not grateful to us, and this has educated the Indians, and they wanted a promise from the Britishers whether they would give India full freedom or not. It was in the year 1939, the World War II was about to begin, and Congress was in a dilemma whether to support the British or to support Japan. Should the war be supported by Indians? 1939 to 42, this is the crucial time. The British Parliament passed the Government of India Act in 1935, and right to vote was given to small section of population. 11 provinces, what we say states now, those days they were called as provinces of British India. In 1937, Congress won in most provinces. 8 out of 11 provinces had a Congress Prime Minister. Prime Minister means It is like a chief minister nowadays, working under the supervision of British governor. As the World War was going on, the Congress faced a difficult situation whether to join the war or not, but Britain decided by itself that India will participate in the war. Students, why Congress was in a dilemma? Because in the First World War, India supported the British thinking that they are going to give us freedom, but they did not give us, they did not show any loyalty. So, this educated the Indian masses, and they wanted a promise that whether if at all we support Britain, will they give us independence or not. The Congress was divided on this issue and expected that it would see the double standards of the British. British expected India to support them in the war, but not giving India full freedom. The British Crown did not want to lose India at any cost, because India was the vast and greatest empire for the British Crown. Students, when the war was going on, the Britishers wanted Indians to support them in the war. This was a crucial time in Great Britain, because they were going to face elections. In England, there are two parties, one is Conservative Party and the other is Labour Party. Winston Churchill has sent Sir Staffords to convince Indians to participate in the war, but did not promise about any freedom. At the same time, Labour Party designate Prime Minister Clement Attlee has promised that if at all Labour Party comes to power in England, they are going to make India free. You can see on the screen, Conservative Party Prime Minister Winston Churchill wanted to maintain the empire, whereas Labour Party Prime Minister designate Clement Attlee willing to give freedom. The British wanted to give status of dominion to India, but the Indian Congress Party demanded for immediate complete freedom. British did not agree to this by saying that it need not protect the other communities also, means like Muslims. Students, India is a subcontinent. There are different religions, different subcastes, languages and all. This was a great advantage for the Britishers to rule India. Keeping in mind the divide and rule policy, the Britishers were successful in ruling India for a very long period. When Congress asked for freedom, the Britishers had an answer that Congress did not represent all the Indians and it supported the Muslims. Muslims were divided on this issue. When the war was going on, the administration in India was like this: special powers to maintain law and order. Anyone who opposed the Britishers were jailed immediately, and there was no freedom of speech. Congress ministers resigned from provincial government in protest. In the year 1906, Muslim League came into existence. A Muslim League was formed. In fact, we can say that Muslims were provoked and they were made to form a party, and this was a great advantage for the Britishers to rule India, keeping in mind divide and rule policy. Just look on the screen. This is the outline map of India, political map of India. The green represents Muslim population in India. You can see West Pakistan, the dark green represents largest Muslim population, and in the East Pakistan you can see green that represents Muslim population. Let us learn something about Muslim League. Muslim League was formed in the year 1906. It demanded that British should create separate seats in all councils for which only Muslims would vote. Where are they now? Where are most of the Muslims? You just see on the screen, you find them here. The green represent the Muslims in large section, and here they wanted Muslim provinces to be created where Muslims can only vote. This is a picture of Muslim League. The center, at the center you can see Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of the Muslim League. During provincial state elections in 1937, the League won 102 of 482 Muslim seats in the country. At the same time, the Congress won 26 out of the 58 Muslim seats it had contested. Let us learn about Hindu Mahasabha and RSS, how the religion played a major role during the freedom movement. The Hindu Mahasabha and RSS has argued that Hindus and Muslims were not people of two different nations, but of one Indian nation. Meanwhile, British were suggesting ways to make Muslims secure from Hindu domination. India is a land of Hindus and the largest majority were Muslims. So, Muslims were scared of largest majority people, and keeping this in mind, from the very beginning they wanted separate seats in provinces. This only came to be known as two nation theory. This is Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh RSS picture. The Hindu Mahasabha and RSS argued that Muslims were not people of two different nations, but of one Indian nation. Meanwhile, British were suggesting ways to make Muslims secure from Hindu domination. This is an image of RSS. The Pakistan resolution. Many people felt that the separate governing arrangements were needed for regions where Muslims were in majority. Where were the Muslims in majority? Especially in the Sindh province of Punjab and Bengal province. Where do we find Muslim population in large? That is in Punjab, that is to the west Pakistan, and to the eastern side, that is Bengal. Many people felt that the separate governing arrangements were needed for regions where Muslims were in majority. Congress failed to address the fears of Muslims when British started the policy of divide and rule policy. A new nation state of Pakistan was the only alternative to solve the issue raised by Muslim League. From 1940 to 1946, the League convinced the Muslim masses about the benefits and need for a separate nation. For a separate state like Pakistan was proposed by the Muslim League, and these were some of the reasons for a separate state like Pakistan. First reason why Muslims wanted a separate state. Peasants can imagine a state where Hindu zamindars and money lenders did not exploit them. Second reason, competition from Hindu businessmen, money lenders and zamindars can be averted, stopped on a large scale. Third reason, there can be a great religious freedom for Muslims. Freedom from Muslim elite to run their own government. These were the following reasons when asked by the Muslim masses that why do we need a separate nation. Students, in part 2 we will be dealing with some more subtopics. Before we do that, or before we learn that, let us do some evaluation, recapitulation and evaluation. According to you, what would be the reasons for and against supporting the British in the World War II? Make a list of various reasons for the partition of the country. What were the different ways in which religion was used in politics before partition? For better understanding, visit the website. Students, that is the end of part 1 from unit 14, and let us meet in part 2 with some more subtopics. Thank you.